Yesterday, we were at the official practice center for the Carolina Hurricane, the Invisalign Arena. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see things, I find funny connections. Y'all know what Invisalign is? Anybody know what that is? Y'all know what Invisalign? Got to put your teeth together, and I thought, okay, so this is a hockey place, and this is Invisalign sponsoring a hockey place, okay? So I just thought, okay, maybe I can see the connection there a little bit. Maybe you would need some teeth to align to begin with, but hey, if you're gonna have a sport that's like this, you can expect that you're going to have some people looking like this, right? Ben, didn't you say just recently in the Winter Olympics, somebody just got his teeth clocked out?
Jack Hughes.
What was his name?
Jack Hughes.
Okay. Did anybody see that? You saw it, Amy? Yeah. I don't keep up with it, but apparently it was pretty famous shot where he got his teeth knocked out and he still made a goal afterwards. So that's the way it goes. All right, so Invisalign coming to a dentist near you, okay? So enjoy that. Hopefully your teeth won't look like the hockey players, all right? All right, we've been talking about relationships, okay? This is our second sermon in the series of relationship. We've been talking about parents. Sometimes I don't know when to joke. Comedians are having a hard time today in the stand-up comedy arena. The reason is because what used to be jokes and people would laugh at, people today get offended by it. And so it's hard to tell jokes anymore because you don't know if people are going to get offended. So today, I'm going to tell a few jokes. And if you get offended by it, tough toenails, okay? It's on you. Right? But my goal is not to offend, my goal is to laugh at the uniqueness, in this case, Asian parents. Okay? You have Asian parents when you hear this at home. Bees make money. No, I'm sorry, I ruined it already. Bees make honey. A's make money. All right? Your blood test came back as type A negative. Why not A plus? All I care about is that you're happy and a doctor. You have freedom of choice, violin or piano. What? You'd rather play a sport? Fine. Be a mathlete. Your sister got a B on her test. You are now an only child. Well, jokes are made all the time about the pressure that parents put on their children, not just Asian parents. American parents do the same. All parents, on some level, do the same. But just know that for every parent who is pressuring their kids for a better life, there are some kids who have no parents at all cheering them on. Their parents are neglecting them. Their parents are caught up in their own issues. And so be thankful if you have parents that hassle you and try to make your life better. Take your Bible, turn to Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this. If you need a Bible, raise your hand. We'll get one to you. If you need a book Bible, raise your hand. In the front of the book, in the front of the Bible, there's a table of contents. You can find the book of Ephesians and look that up, chapter 6. All right, so we've been talking about relationships. And we want to talk about the gift of parents, right? Sometimes teenagers don't feel like their parents are a gift. They feel like their parents are always on their case. They're always pressuring me, and they're always asking me these questions that I don't want to. I wish they'd just leave me alone, right? And the challenge is, what does the Bible have to say about parents? What is the Apostle Paul, in this case, talking to the church at Ephesus? Apparently there was some word getting back to Paul that some of the families in the church were having trouble. And that there were some parent and children that weren't getting along. And so the Apostle Paul had to say something about that, right? So in chapter 6, right at the very beginning, it says this. He speaks to the children first. Children, what's the next word? Obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. What is he talking about? What's the first commandment with a promise? Honor your parents made it in the top 10. Right? What's the top 10? The 10 Commandments, right? It was not written on papyrus. What was it written on? Stone. What does that tell you? It's permanent. It's not something that's just going to fade away. Oh, you write a letter and it'll rot, papyrus, right? No, this is stone. It was written in stone, and it was actually put in the Ark of the Covenant. So this is serious business. The Ark of the Covenant was where the glory of God came down and God met with his people. And if you walked in the room with the Ark of the Covenant and you weren't supposed to be there, you died. Right? So this is very serious. And on the 10 Commandments was written, the very first command with a promise is honor your mother, your father. Right? All right, so he said, this is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Live long. So if I obey my parents, I'm going to live longer? I may have told you, some of you weren't here last time, but I told you that when I grew up with the Incredible Hulk. Right? That was my father. And my mother saw the message and said, would you please tell your people that you had a good childhood? It wasn't as bad as you're making it out to be. You're just talking about the bad parts. And I'm here to say, she's right. Right? You're right, Mom. Okay? All right. So I had a great childhood, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But there are times where you feel like your parents are just hassling you. What's going on here? Well, Paul speaks to that as well in verse 3. Well, in verse 4, rather. Fathers, here we go, verse 4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. Do you ever feel like your parents provoke you to anger? You ever feel that way? What does that mean? Teenagers, when your parents provoke you to anger, what's happening?
Reach faith.
Huh?
Reach faith. It's the act of intentionally trying to make somebody mad for your own use.
Okay. I know some people like that, right? Peyton, what did you say? You said something a second ago? Okay. All right. Anyone else? How many of you, some of you are like, my parents are here, so I can't say anything, right? I can't speak freely. That's okay. No problem, right? No matter how bad you have it at home, it's never going to be as bad as what there's some situations out there that are just absolutely awful. I'm confident that that's not happening here, right? Maybe it is. Maybe we need to talk about it. I don't know. But chances are that that's what's happening here. Your parents being on your case is because they love you. And they care about you. And they know what's best for you. Whether you think they do or not. All right. So on this he speaks not only to the parents, don't provoke your children to anger, but he's also speaking to the teenagers as well. All right, so a few weeks ago, we talked about the 3 stages, right? When you're a child, your parent is a trainer. When you're a teenager, your parent is a helper. And when you're an adult, your parent is a friend. What is the problem that could possibly mess this up? What's the problem? Huh? Okay? A lot of times, parents want to be a friend from the very beginning, right? Does that work? No. Not as its primary. Of course you want to be friendly with your children. You're not like mad at your children all the time, right? And you want to be friends with your children, of course. But when that's your primary goal when they're young, your primary goal as a parent is to be what? When they're young? A trainer. And then once they learn the rules and they behave properly, because you've trained them well, then you become what? A helper, right? You just kind of more guide them along, right? And then once they move out of the house, hopefully you remain friends, right? I know some parents who are best friends with their children now. My mom and I are best friends. Well, I talk to her a couple of times a week, right? And we just catch up with each other, right? She doesn't tell me what to do. She's not trying to train me anymore. I'll be on the phone, and there'll be a tailgater behind me. Well, I could always call her when I'm on the road. And some guy will come up behind me and start tailgating me. I said, Mom, I have to go. Right? Because she don't want to hear it. Right? Because I'm going crazy at that point. I can't stand tailgaters. And so I need to work on that. But she doesn't try to correct me. Why? Because am I a little kid anymore? No. No, exactly. Exactly. Right? You can edit that out of the video. Right? That would be good. Right. 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 Exactly. Yeah, Collie's right. I'll hold my tongue on that one. Okay. All right, so when I was a kid, I lived in this house. Right? This is my house when I was a little kid. Tiny little house, right? I think less than 1,000 square feet. Gwendolyn Drive, Baker, Louisiana, right? I was about 2, maybe 3 years old when I moved here. And we went to this church, Northside Baptist Church. That building, that big building, was not there. It was just a little building on this side. The sanctuary was on this side. And then the education space and the fellowship hall was in the very corner. That's Northside Baptist Church. It's actually got a different name today. And then 2 doors down, I lived next to my friend of mine whose name was Little Dale. It was called Little Dale because his dad's name was Dale. And he was Big Dale. So we had Big Dale and Little Dale. Little Dale was my best friend. He was still in diapers when I met him. Okay? And then Dale and I grew up. And you see this sidewalk here? This thing have a laser? There we go. There used to be a tree here. There's a tree here, but there used to be behind there was a tree next to the house. It's gone now. But we used to climb that tree, get on top of the roof when his parents weren't there. Because back then, parents would leave and the neighbors would kind of take care of the kids. Right? And the neighbors didn't always do a good job. So we climbed the tree, got up on the roof, and when his mom got home, she said, what were y'all doing up on the roof? We made sure we got down before she got home. We're like, how'd you know we were on the roof? Because on the rooftop, there was a long street where the diaper had just dragged all the way down the roof and left all the little bits behind. And so she knew we had been up on the rooftop, right? And then there was a swing right here, and there was a babysitter who came over, and she was beautiful. I was 7 years old, and I thought she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. So back then, we rode bikes, right? Today, some people like bikes, but it's not that big a deal. When I was a kid, everybody rode bikes, and that was your rite of passage to go anywhere, right? You couldn't go out of the neighborhood, but you could stay in the neighborhood. And so we would ride our bikes up and down the sidewalk. And we put a ramp. We put a couple of bricks and a board and made a ramp so that we could ride our bikes and then jump on the ramp. Okay? So Dale had figured out how to ride the ramp and land on his back tire and go down. I was too stupid. I didn't know how to do that. I kept going over the ramp and my front tire would go down, and I was like, Dale, I want to impress our babysitter. She's sitting on the swing right here. We're riding up and down the sidewalk right here. I want to know how I can impress her. He said, well, the trick is when you get on the ramp, you pull up the handlebars, and then you'll just land on the back tire, and then you go back down. I was like, I got this. You already know what happened, don't you? I went back to my house. Dale's house is over here. I went all the way down here. I went past the Gossett's house. I went all the way to Larry Fontenot's house, got on my bike, and I jammed those pedals as hard as I could, and I just started booking it. And I said, when I get to that ramp, I'm going to pull so hard on these handlebars. It's going to be great. It's going to be monumental, right? I hit that ramp, and I pulled those handlebars, and what do you know happened? Crash, burn, it was terrible, right? Landed somewhere over here. The ramp was here. I landed somewhere over here. Bike fell on top of me. The babysitter came running. I started taking care of me, and I thought, I pulled it off, right? I did it, right? This was my world when I was a little kid. My parents, right, they were working hard. My dad worked at an oil refinery plant, and my mom was a secretary, and what they called secretary back then, today it's called administrative assistant. And so we were just kind of running loose everywhere. And our parents would guide us and train us and tell us all these things, right? We had a wonderful childhood. It was great. But the greatest thing they did was teach us about Jesus. And it wasn't just Jesus. It was more than just going to church. It was about how to live for Jesus every day, right? And so we had to learn those things. And I would not be standing here before you now if it weren't for my parents, who were godly. They made all kinds of mistakes, but they really tried to instill Jesus in us. And so be thankful for your parents. Why are my parents taking me to church? Because they want you to know more about Jesus, and they want you to apply these things to your life, and they want you to be a better person. All right? All right, so reasons why we should be thankful. You should be thankful to your parents. I'm just going to go through a quick list here. You ready? Your parents provide stability that you rarely notice. You don't realize. How many of you, if we went to the Amazon jungle today and found a tribe down there, they'd never seen a white person. They've never seen civilization. And we were able to teleport that person here today. And they came right in here. We teleported them right here. Right? Someone who's never been away from the jungle in their life, what would they be surprised by? Everything. Yeah. Right? Would they know what this is? Would they know what this is? Would they look outside and see cars and be, what are those things? Right? What else would they be surprised by? Maybe even clothes that we have, right? Be surprised by everything. And yet, for you, your house, your cars, your bed, your clothes, all of that is invisible to you. You just take it for granted. I take it for granted. You realize that? And yet your parents have provided the stability around you so you don't even have to think about it. It's all invisible to you. Caleb, you realize it's invisible? You don't even think about it, right? All right, so your home, food, transportation, clothes, they're so constant that it feels invisible. This stability by your parents gives you the freedom to focus on school, friendships, sports, and dreams instead of survival. Wow. Number two, your parents absorb stress so you don't have to. Very much related to the first one. How many of you paid the electric bill this month? How many teenagers in here paid the electric bill? Any of them? Anybody paid a water bill? Water bill? Right? Private school tuition? Did you pay that? How many of you paid the grocery bill? You starting to see a pattern here? Right? Your parents do a lot for you, but you don't even see it. Medical bills, school issues, car repairs, often handled quietly. You never see it. Number 3, your parents love you long before you can give anything back. Your parents' love is one of the few relationships that begins with total sacrifice and zero return. Even imperfect parents carry a deep desire for their child's best life, which is rare in this world. Number 4, your parents sacrifice time, energy, and personal dreams. Late nights, early morning, extra shift, missed hobbies, emotional labor, all happen behind the scenes. You often see the rules, but you do not see the cost behind the support. Rules aren't about control, they're usually about provision and protection from the mistakes that your parent already made and lived through. Boundaries are a sign of love, not restriction. Number 5, your parents invest in your future. Every homework reminder, sports practice, doctor appointment, tough conversation is an investment in who you will become one day. Parents think long term while you're thinking short term. Number 6, your parents know you better than almost anyone. They have watched your personality, your strengths, your struggles develop for years. That long-term perspective helped them give advice better than any friend that you just met recently. It's amazing to me how many teenagers will listen to a friend that they haven't known but maybe a year or two, but won't listen to their parents who have their best interests at heart. Scary sometimes, right? Your parents are still on your side even after you've had an argument. How many friends, if you had a couple of arguments with you, you're no longer their friend? I know some people that I disagreed with them, and they said, well, I can't be your friend anymore. And they walked away. Oh, wow. But my parents, I argued with them all the time. They never walked away. Your parents are still on your side even after the argument. That's not something you see very often. You may argue, slam doors, withdraw, but your parents still stay committed to you. That kind of loyalty is rare outside of family. Number 8, your parents teach life skills that last. Responsibility, work ethic, respect, communication, and resilience often come because you learned it from home. These skills shape adulthood far more than you'll ever realize. Number 9, your parents pray, worry, and hope for you. Many parents carry their children to prayer, to God in prayer, daily, asking God to protect and shape you. Even when you feel misunderstood, your parents often care very, very deeply about you spiritually. And then finally, your parents tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Your friends may tell you what you want to hear. Your friends may talk about what you agree with. But your parents will have the hard conversation with you, even when you don't like it. Honest correction is a form of love. I got a video I want to show you here. And, well, I guess I can do it, right? All right. The adults may know this character. I grew up with Rocky. Okay, Rocky was a boxer. And he made several movies. And at the end of his movies, he had a baby in his second movie. And now this baby's all grown up. He's a boy. He's an adult. And he's carrying on about why this and why that. And this is not working out. And he's complaining all the time. And Rocky is a champion. Rocky went through the hard things of life. And he's trying to explain to his son that life is hard. It's not going to be handed over to you. You've got to work for it. And this is a scene in the movie that's very inspiring. I want to show it to you here. Do we have to hit the space bar, or what do we got to do? There we go. No sound.
It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life.
Parents have the hard conversations with you when you don't like those conversations. Why is it that children complain? Go ahead and hit the lights. Why is it that children complain about the pressure from their parent, and yet when those children grow up and have children of their own, what do? They put that same pressure on their children. Why? What do they realize? What do their children realize when they're doing it to their own children? They realize what? Yeah, they know that this is really the best way to raise your children because of what they received from their parent. You may have not liked it when you got it, right? But you still believe that having that kind of pressure is important. Okay, we're going to read some scriptures here. Anybody that wants to read out loud, read one at a time, and preferably teenagers. Adults can do it too, but let's get some teenagers to read, okay? So somebody read the first one. Go.
Wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is a sorrow to his mother.
Ooh, wow, right? Who wrote the Proverbs? Who wrote most of them? Solomon. Solomon was known as the wisest man ever, ever, right? Okay, by the way, when in the ancient world they spoke of sons, today we speak of sons and daughters, okay? But even then, these verses would apply to both sons and daughters, okay? Number two, somebody else, read it. Dang, that's crazy, ain't it? Why would anyone despise their mother? Because they're fools, right? Okay, very good. Number three, somebody read it.
Listen, my son, to your father's instruction.
That's one of my favorites because it includes both mom and dad. Listen to your dad, listen to your mama, right? What you got to be careful about, teenagers, hear me here. If you go to one of your parents so that you can go to the other parent and say, well, I already talked to mama and she said I could go. Or I already talked to dad and he said I could go. And you try to use one parent against the other, don't play that game. Don't ever play that game. It's not fair and it's manipulative. Okay? You ask both of them. Right? Don't try to play a game. Don't try to manipulate your parents, okay? It doesn't work, and it'll backfire on you eventually. You understand what I'm saying? Nod your head if you know what I'm saying. Okay. All right. Someone else. Number four, a wise son. Somebody read that.
A wise son keeps his father's discipline, but a mocker
Okay, so a mocker does not listen to rebuke. Rebuke is when they're, hey, you should have done this. Okay? All right, very good. Second to last one, somebody read it.
Discipline your son, will give you rest. He will give you delight to your heart.
Okay, discipline your son. When you hear discipline, what do you hear? You hear a spanking? That's what I hear. Right? What's another word for discipline? Train. See, here's the challenge with the word discipline. Right? The word discipline to many people today means punishment. That is not what discipline means in Scripture. God is not wanting parents to punish their children. God is wanting their parent to train their children. And when an athlete trains, they're not punishing themselves, although they kind of are, They're training themselves. And that involves resistance, right? And so if a parent punishes you, that's really not what we're after here in Scripture. We're trying to train you, and sometimes training means pain, right? Sometimes it's painful to go through training, right? So when you see discipline, don't think punishment, think training, okay? All right, last one, somebody read it.
Father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. Even fathers of livestock will be glad with him.
That's the ultimate joy of every parent. It's to see that their children have been raised up in the Lord, and now they're living for the Lord. Now, there are no guarantees for any parent. I've seen parents who've raised their children right, and the child just goes off and does their own thing, doesn't live for God. I've seen some sorry parents, and the child ends up choosing to live a good life and to live for Jesus, right? In spite of the parents. Right? So there's no guarantees in life. But if you follow the Bible in training your children, then the chances of them continuing to follow God is a beautiful thing. Carla and I are very fortunate. Very fortunate. We know how fortunate we are that our two sons continue to live for God. And we praise God for that. We know that there's no guarantees. We know they could have gone in different directions, depending on the friends they chose, depending on circumstances, whatever. And we've seen them struggle with their faith many times. But both of them to this day are still living for God. And we praise God for that. Right? We know that in part, not all, but in part, it's because we did our best to raise them up and not frustrate them. Okay? Now, there are some parents here, so I want to encourage some parents as well. All right? I've shared this before, but I think it's important to share it again because it's really critical on how the Bible teaches us. Okay? If you want godly children, again, no guarantees, but if you want godly children, you have to practice the 3 C's. The 3 C's. Okay? Does anybody remember what the 3 C's are? I'm going to tell you. Here are the 3 C's. Number 1. C number 1, commanding voice. If you have a child and you say, honey, mommy doesn't want you to do that, you're not going to get anywhere in life. Little Joey is going to run right over you like a bulldozer. Right? You have no commanding voice. Right? Honey, no, no. Now, I've seen this happen. I've seen, sometimes it's the opposite, but in this case, I've seen where the mama is, honey, honey, and then she finally says, wait till your daddy gets home. And then daddy shows up and he's the bad guy. Right? The wrath of God has arrived, right? And that's terrible. It never should be on just one parent. It should be on both. And there should be a commanding voice from both parents, right? So you have to have a commanding voice, number 1. C number 1, commanding voice. C number 2, ready? Consequences, right? Not threats. If you threaten consequences and you don't give consequences, what happens? If you say, if you do that one more time, I'm gonna, whatever the consequences are, right? Now, Today, the big thing is, I don't even know if it's a big thing anymore, but in recent decades, it's been time out. If you'd have given me time out as a kid, I'd have loved it. Because I could go to my room and play, right? And kids can go to their room today. They got TV, video games. They got, hey, what's time out, right? So for us, discipline was pain, right? A spanking of some sort. Now, I do not believe in abuse. I do not believe in physical abuse. But I do believe in a quick pop, right? Carl and I, we had a daycare for 20 years. And the parents had to sign a form that we could pop their kid, not beat their kid, right? We had a wooden spoon, right? We never used our hand. We didn't pull off a belt and start beating the kid. That's not cool, right? We just had a wooden spoon. We showed it to the parent, and all it was beep, quick pop. That's it, right? And the Bible in Proverbs 22 says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction, the wooden spoon, will drive it far from him. Right? It's in the Proverbs, okay? And so when that child would come and they thought they could get away with stuff, pop! That child had never been disciplined in their life. And they started crying, right? And that's okay, right? You know why it worked? Is C number 3. You ready? You can have commanding voice, you can have consequences, but if you don't have number 3, it's not going to work. You ready for number 3? C number 3 is consistency. This whole thing of I'm going to count to 3, or if you do it one more time, and then they do it again, if you do it one more time, and they do it again, if you do it one more time, it doesn't work. The child will always err on the fact that they're betting this is going to be one more time. They'll always bet on that. So what Carla and I did at the daycare, we never let them get away with it one time. Not one time. Right? So, pop. Now, what we would do, what we began to do once the child understood the rule, we would say, okay, go get the wooden spoon. That was worse than the pop itself. Because when, no! The child's face would just look like a, demon possessed or something, right? But they would go get it, and we would always pop them. Now, we did not spend all of our time in the daycare popping children, right? Some parents think, if I have to implement this, then I'm going to kill my child because I will constantly they will never listen. No, they will. If you do the 3 C's and you do it consistently, every time they are within the boundaries, you give hugs, you go, that's great, and you praise them, and you love them, and you sing songs with them, and they say their prayers during snack time, they say the blessing, and you teach them about Jesus, and it's always wonderful. And the moment they step out of the boundaries, the moment, not later, when it happens, the moment they step out of the boundaries, consistency in that moment. Boom, they go right back. You know what happens to a child when they have consistency and they have a commanding voice and they have consequences? They feel safe. I now understand where the boundaries are. A child who is allowed to be in a hippified home where they can just explore and do whatever they want, and if they tear up everything, that's okay, they're exploring. Those children grow up with lots of anxiety because they have no boundaries. And they don't know, they don't have the maturity to handle such reckless non-boundaries. And so they have anxiety. And that's why we see so much anxiety among our young people today, because parents don't provide the structure for their children. Are you with me? You understand what I'm saying here? All right? So, we had one parent come to us, several parents actually, but one in particular, come to us and look, I've done everything you said. I don't think it's working. It's working okay, but I don't think it's working. I said, well, tell me what you're doing. Well, on the way home, On the way home, something happened in the back seat. And I said, now when we get home, you're going to go to your room and you're going to think about it. And there's this long, drawn-out process, and then they give them the pop. I said, next time it happens, pull over the car and pop them right then. Don't even wait till you get home. She came to me 3 weeks later. She goes, it's a miracle. They behave like I've never seen them behave again. I said, if you're in a grocery store, you got to be careful. You get reported nowadays. Take them to the bathroom. Take them outside. Right? Take them somewhere. Don't wait until later. If you extend the time, why do we have so many murderers today when they know that they got the death penalty? Because it takes 20 years to get the death penalty. You go through an appeals process. But if we took those same people today, you killed them today, all right, stand over here, stand in the tree, boom, killed them, that would end it. The murder rate would go down significantly, right? Now, don't get politically motivated on me here, because I'm not there, right? But I'm just saying, God gives His word for a reason. And there's a way we can train our children in the way they go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. Amen? All right, so, finally, let's wrap it up with this. Turn to Luke. Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke. Luke chapter 2, and then we'll be done. Go all the way down, Luke chapter 2, go all the way down to verse 48. Let me tell you real quickly here. Jesus is going through puberty. Now that sounds weird, doesn't it? We know we go through puberty. We know our bodies change. We know hormones go crazy. But Jesus, let's not put Jesus in that place. Let me tell you something. Jesus went through puberty. He was 12 years old. His parents went to Jerusalem. They celebrated, right, the festival, and then they left. And then when they left, Mama left with a group of women, Daddy left with a group of men, as was custom of the day. 3 days later, they look at each other and say, where's Jesus? So what do you mean, where's Jesus? I thought He was with you. No, I thought He was with you. What? Where's Jesus? He just had his bar mitzvah. Right? So they run back to Jerusalem. They find Jesus. Where do they find Him? In the temple. Teaching the Pharisees. They were amazed at His answers at 12 years old. Right? And so this is what happened. This is what Mary said to Jesus when she found Him at the temple. Right? Verse 48. Here we go. And when His parents saw Him, they were astonished. And His mother said, Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress. And Jesus said to them, why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? And they did not understand the saying that He spoke to them. Can you imagine having Jesus, you're a parent, and Jesus is one of your children? Can you imagine Mary? Did y'all know some of Jesus' half-brothers? What's one of His half-brothers' name? James is one. There's another, second to the last book of the Bible. Jude. Okay? So let's just say Mary looking at James and Jude and saying, hey, why can't you be more like Jesus? Isn't that so typical of parents? Why can't you be like the good kid, right? And I can imagine James and Jude looking back at Mary going, Mama, why can't you be more like Jesus? He's perfect. And so there was a lot of pressure for those kids. No wonder they didn't follow Him until later. They were mad at Him all their life because He held them to such a high standard, right? Well, here they are. Jesus ditches His parents, right? They don't know where He is. They find Him in the temple. They don't understand what He's saying to them. Verse 51. And He went down with them and came to Nazareth. If you look on a map, Jerusalem is here, Nazareth is up here. And He went down. How did He go down? I knew you would know. You answered before. Go for it.
Like altitude,
Jerusalem is higher because of the mountains. And so they went down to, even though on the map they're going up, they're actually going down the mountains to Nazareth, okay? And so he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was what? Submissive to them. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. And Jesus, here we go. Here's the key word. Everything you heard today, here we go. You ready? Verse 52. And Jesus increased in what? Wisdom. And in what? Stature. What stature? Height. He grew. And in favor with God and man. So, Jesus grew. Those of you who think, well, Jesus knew everything. He had all the wisdom. No, he did not. Not when he was a man. He had to learn to be obedient to his parents, just like you do. He had to grow up, just like you do. He had to learn to love the Father, just like you do. And he did. So the Gospel of John said Jesus does everything his Father tells him to do. Jesus, he modeled it, and he continues to be submissive to his Father to this day. Where's Jesus right now? What? He's at the right hand, he's everywhere, but where is he in a manifest presence? Where is Jesus? Right hand of God, right? Okay? So, if he's at the right hand of God, interceding on our behalf, he's still being obedient to his Father. Wow. Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, he's still being obedient to his Father. Let me tell you something. If Jesus is being obedient, you and I don't have a leg to stand on. We need to be obedient to our parents. We need to model the life of Jesus. So, here's my challenge for you today. Before this day is over, everybody look at me. Before this day is over, I want you to tell your parents one thing you appreciate about them. Tell your parents one thing you appreciate about them. Okay? Some of your parents aren't here anymore. Okay? That's okay. Pray a prayer. Pray to the Father. Tell God one thing you appreciate about him. Jesus, one thing I appreciate about you. Learn to show appreciation for your parents. For this is right and honorable to the Lord. Honor your father and your mother that your days may be long upon the earth. Stand up with me. Bow your head with me, if you will. Close your eyes. No one looking around. Darren, if I'm being honest, I've taken my parents for granted. I didn't mean to. I'm not trying to. But honestly, I just haven't thought about it. But I have been. I've been taking my parents for granted. Would you pray for me? Father, thank you for being the greatest parent of all. Thank you that you've given dads and mom to reflect the marriage that we have as the bride of Christ with Jesus. And thank you that we are to honor that marriage and we're to honor our parents. And to be appreciative that we're not in survival mode right now, that we're here blessed in a church with climate control. We're in a beautiful day. We're not worried about food today. We're not worried about clothes. We're not worried about water. All because our parents have provided for us. And in large part have made us who we are today. May we honor your word to appreciate and to love our parents. I pray that each young person here today, Lord, each adult, will show expression of love, expression of appreciation to their parents in honor of all that you've called us to be. And most of all, Lord, may we give you the honor and the glory for giving us Jesus and giving us a hope that can never be taken away. We give you praise, we give you glory. In Christ's name. Everybody said? Amen.